Hey guys, if you're new around here, my name is Hannah Martin. And today I'm talking about a topic that I have not spoken about in a very, very long time. I'm going to talk a little bit about my rhythmic gymnastics career. Some of you might have known I went to the Commonwealth Games back in 2018. I retired that same year. Everyone laughs when I say retire, but that's how you say like you've stopped gymnastics, you've finished your career. And 16 sounds very young, which it was. Because the Olympics is on, guys, I love watching the Olympics. It actually doesn't matter what sport. I mean, I have my favourites. I like the diving, the gymnastics, the rhythmic. What other sport have I discovered? I quite like the canoe slalom. I'm not pronouncing that right. I know it. Sorry if it's your sport. Let me know how to pronounce it in the comments down below. And obviously the athletics and stuff like that. So I've really been enjoying watching the Olympics, and it's brought back so many memories that I wanted to share a little bit with you today. I know for years I've been asked a lot about my rhythmic gymnastics career and that kind of transition, and I haven't really spoken about it a whole lot, and I'll get into a little bit why during this video. But the biggest question that I get asked by people is, did you want to do the Olympics? To put it short, yes, it was one of my biggest dreams, especially as a rhythmic gymnast. It was everything I was working towards. To put it into context, qualifying for rhythmic gymnastics Olympics is so very difficult because only the top 24 gymnasts in the world get to go. Basically, if you're not top 20 in the world, it's unlikely you're going to go to the Olympics as a rhythmic gymnast. Whereas in artistic, because you have the team finals, a lot more gymnasts can compete, which is really great for representation of lots of different countries and lots of different individuals. So I don't want to say it's easier as an artistic gymnast to represent your country at the Olympics, but certainly in rhythmic it's so very difficult. And we haven't had a rhythmic gymnast represent Great Britain in the Olympics since 2012, where we had Frankie Jones. And obviously because that was a home nation games, that's why we got to compete and qualify. But we haven't had someone qualify, I think, since Hannah McKibben back in somewhere in the 2000s. So we haven't had anyone from Great Britain qualify, and I think when I was a rhythmic gymnast, my biggest dream was to kind of be that person to qualify for the Olympics, which again seemed like kind of very far out of reach, but as you know on this channel we like to achieve the impossible. Sorry, I'm at home with my family, so you might hear a few noises in the background. I do apologise.
Oh, sorry, darling. Computer's not in here, isn't it?
There's
Okay.
this one. What is this one?
That's cool. All right.
This one?
No, we're good. I'll leave you be. Sorry.
No worries. Lost my trail of thought. I mean, for any athlete to compete at the Olympics is the biggest honour and the biggest privilege, and that's what you work towards. So even if it feels out of reach, you're going to be working towards that goal your whole career. So watching on the television now, it's like, oh wow, this was the games that I think I would have been aiming for if I was still competing. They always said Paris was the one that we were going to be kind of focusing more towards than any games. So it's crazy to watch it and be so far removed now. I haven't touched an apparatus for what seems like forever, and see how much my life has changed, and I have transitioned from being an athlete to a dancer. An athlete is a dancer really, but from being a sports person to being a dancer, there is a lot more differences than I could have imagined when I transitioned. I feel like it took me 4 years to fully understand the differences in approach to from sport to dance to ballet. I think my mum definitely thought it was going to be a little bit more similar, because obviously you work hard, you train your body, you have to point your toes, like we have to spin, we have to be elegant, but there's so many different nuances and differences in the way that you just mentally approach the work that I think it took me a long time to understand. I think in rhythmic, because the career is very short, when I was a gymnast, the world champion retired at 18. It's not unusual for them to retire very young. There's a very short I don't want to say short-minded approach, but I remember, I just was blasting myself every day thinking, we've only got a certain amount of time to make this happen. Whereas in dance, you are looking at a longer career. Well, you should be thinking of longevity rather than always just how can I look my best in this exact moment right now, and forget about important things about health, rest, recovery. Obviously that was important in my athlete career, and I want to stress that my coaches did stress that to me too. And obviously when you're a young person you don't think about it so much, and obviously I've matured a lot now. I've had surgeries, a surgery. So it teaches you those lessons pretty quick. But I think the approach to ballet can be, for me, it's been more holistic in the way that you approach it. I mean, you can take it completely out of context again, but mentally coming out of gymnastics, probably those first 6 months or so were some of the most, I want to say, it was the most difficult time of my life. I was actually looking at some pictures because obviously I was reminiscing about going to the Commonwealth Games and that whole experience, the Commonwealth Games village, the hype of the whole event, how amazing it was, but then kind of watching the come down and so many athletes talking about kind of that depression of when you've done something like a big event and then coming off the back of that, how difficult it is to cope. And I do remember when I finished gymnastics, I won the English Championships, and then a few weeks later it did all end, how difficult it was to kind of redefine yourself, because it is your identity. And I think since then that's got me deeper into my faith, because I know now my identity is in Christ, not in what I do. A lot of it was just re-identifying myself in Christ and as a dancer rather than as a gymnast, because for so long I just felt like a gymnast trying to do dance, and that was really difficult because a lot of people labelled me that way as well. And obviously I had stopped rhythmic. It's something that I love to do, but I completely had to disassociate myself from it. That was really tough. And so when people kept saying when I came to dance, oh, but you're the gymnast, oh, you do gymnastics, you're the gymnast who did this, I'm like, I was, and now I'm trying to do this, and all I'm ever being told is that I'm still the gymnast, and that's not going to cut it trying to get into a dance company. It felt at that time, I feel like 16 is quite late to make the switch, so it's natural that people would see me as a gymnast because that's what I was for so long. I definitely really struggled in that time because I didn't really want to let go of my rhythmic gymnastics career. At that point in time, it was, my passion, it was everything I had worked for. Obviously I was always doing ballet on the side of that, but then when I had to let that go and just focus on the ballet, it was really tricky to kind of figure out for myself who I was, and redefine that. And always, I think, just a segue here is that's why it's important to always put my identity in Christ for me personally, because no matter then what happens, if I get injured or if I'm not dancing anymore, or if I'm a gymnast or not a gymnast, like having your identity as a daughter of the King, that never changes, and that's constant, so you're not swaying in the wind with whatever's happening in your life. So that's been something important, something I'm continuing to try and hold on to, because whenever I stop dancing I feel like I've kind of lost a part of myself. And that's why I find even holidays really hard, which sounds weird, but even a couple of weeks off I can start feeling some of those emotions. The transition out of rhythmic was really difficult, and sometimes when these big events come around I can feel some of those emotions again of like, wow, what could have been if I had been able to continue in the sport. But I know actually the way that things have happened for me in my dance career, this is what I'm meant to do, this is what I love, this is now my passion. And I'm grateful that I've been able to have, I don't want to say a second career because I don't feel like my rhythmic was really a full career, but have a second chance at something that I'm so super passionate about. And a lot of people don't get that opportunity because after rhythmic, a lot of people get quite injured and aren't able to continue performing as much. I don't want to say that for everyone, but it does take a big strain on your body. So I feel very, very lucky to have had this opportunity and to have people come behind me and give me the chance to have a career in ballet, which is, something that you usually train in and go to school and do for your whole life before you get a job. So I feel lucky that I've had the opportunity to still live that dream despite having had a previous career. And it has had its many challenges. There's been lots of gaps in my training where I've had to work overtime to try and fill them. I do feel like now, it's 6 years on now since I last competed, and I think only in the last couple of years have I been able to actually say I'm a dancer quite confidently. I think it took me 4 years before I actually felt like, wow, I can call myself a dancer and I believe it. I remember still like in my apprentice year at the company, I was saying to my mum, sending her like photos and little videos of me dancing and training. I was like, Mum, I actually look like a ballet dancer. And that's kind of, it sounds mad because I was there and I had, been through ballet school at that point and stuff, but it took me so long to kind of detach myself from what had been your whole life. When you're in sport, it's your life. Like, you don't think about anything else. You just train, you eat, you sleep, and you train, and you train, and you train. Like, I remember at the end part of my career, I was getting up at 5:30, getting the train to school, and I would start at school because they introduced like a gymnastics academy there. I would train 7:30 till 9:30 in the morning. Then I would go do my A-level lessons, sometimes have a gym session in the middle of the day, in like the gym, and then finish off the rest of my lessons, and then I would go to the gym in the evening, the rhythmic gymnastics training centre, and I would train 5 till 9, and then I would get back, I would eat, and then I would repeat. It was everything to me at that point. Trying to refine yourself, especially in something like ballet, I had to learn a lot very quickly. And when I was still kind of struggling a little bit with myself and, saying goodbye to my sport that had been my life for so long. But all I can say now, so I feel like I've rambled this whole video. I hope I've said something that might have had some substance to it, but I just really wanted to talk about how, Olympics was a dream that never happened for me, but I am so grateful for the journey that I have been on. I feel like the journey I've been on has been like an Olympic cycle for me. Me changing, transitioning, and I can say now that I wouldn't have wanted it any other way, really, how it's all happened. And although it's been difficult and tough and hasn't sometimes been conventional, I'm so privileged to call myself a dancer, and I am satisfied that and so grateful to have had that time as an athlete. And I wish all the athletes at the Olympics who have or are going to compete the best of luck, and just to enjoy every single second of the experience, because an athlete's career is really not that long for most people. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say, and thank you to all the people who coached me then and are coaching me now, or have coached me and brought me on this journey. There's so many influential people in my life who basically supported me during that time where I didn't know who I was. And without them, I don't even know if I'd be here today. So that is just a few words on the Olympics and how I feel about it. And I'm excited to watch the rest of it. I can still enjoy it, even though I'm not an athlete anymore. And I hope you guys are enjoying it too. I will see you all very soon. I've got a couple weeks left of my holidays before I'm back at the ballet company. So just trying to soak it all in, stay in shape, but also just enjoy some time off. So just doing kind of a ballet class a day is kind of the recipe I'm going for this year, which is a little bit more lighter than some other times in the summer where I've just gone like absolutely crazy. So Spain vlog will be coming out very soon, so just keep an eye out for that. Well, you know the drill, guys. Dream big and make it happen.
Lovely work from Hannah Martin. She's really risen to the challenge.